Hello, this is Coach Holmes, and today we're going to be talking about parallel lines. Now, y'all probably already seen parallel lines or discussed it before already, but just to make sure we get a good understanding, parallel lines are any lines that don't cross each other. Okay, so imagine if I have two lines here. If it just keeps on going forever and ever and ever and ever and onward and onward. Okay? If it just keeps on going and it does not cross at any point, it's parallel. Same thing if I go the other way. It just keeps on going, and it does not cross. As long as it doesn't cross at any point, it's parallel. Okay? Now, when it comes to possibility of lines, there's three different possibilities. You have what we call parallel. We have a set of parallel lines. Intersecting lines. And infinite lines. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm really just really want to make sure I write it out correctly very well. Okay? So we either have a parallel, intersecting, or infinite. Now, how many intersections is there on a parallel line? Well, there is none. And that's the whole point of parallel lines, is that there is no intersection between two lines that are parallel. Now, when it comes to intersecting lines, we have one intersection. As a matter of fact, any two lines, remember if in a postulate, two lines that intersect each other forms 1 point. It doesn't form 2 points, it doesn't form 3 points, it forms 1 point. And an infinite has infinite amount of solutions, which means that it's on top of one another. That's basically what an infinite line is. It's basically two lines that are on top of one another. And it keeps on going as if it's on top of each other. Okay? That's what an infinite line is. Now, skewed lines, are non-coplanar lines. They're basically lines that are not necessarily coplane. They're not on the same plane, they're not on the same field, they're just in two separate outcomes. They're in two different fields, two different planes. That's typically what a skewed line is. Now, if we want to classify some of these lines, this is what we're looking at. So I have line AB and BC. If I extend these as lines, this one is a intersecting line. Okay? It has 1 point of intersection. Now, if I'm looking at AF and BC, even if I keep on going, technically, they're not going to intersect, but they're not necessarily parallel. Matter of fact, they're not even on the same plane. So these are skew lines. Now, if we're looking at AF and CD, notice how they're not going to cross one another. They're not going to touch one another. So these are parallel lines. If we look at EF and CD, CD is going to infinitely go this way. EF is going to infinitely going this way. They're not going to cross. They're not going to touch each other. And they're not necessarily on the same plane. they're not going to be parallel. So this is another example of a skew line. Not on the same plane, and they're not touching one another. Now, what about plane ABC, so this plane right here, and CDE? Well, they are actually intersecting. And their intersection has to be right here. This is where their intersections are. So this is an example of an intersecting plane. Now, ABF, if I imagine this being a plane right here, ABF and plane ABC is intersecting as well. Now, I do want y'all to add this to y'all's notes. I want y'all to add this to your notes. Number 7, plane ABF and plane CDE. So notice, plane ABF is that face, CDE is this face. So if I continue to extend the plane one way or the other, they're going to be parallel to each other. So these are examples of parallel planes. So the biggest thing is being able to know what parallel lines are, how to identify them, and the other types of lines where they either intersect each other or you have an infinite line. Okay? So the biggest thing is being able to recognize and identify those specific categories as far as parallel lines. Thank you. Have a good day.